Hallo, guten Abend und willkommen in der Steiermark in Österreich, unserer dritten Runde der RTA F4 Meisterschaft for 2025. That was pretty good, wasn't it? 2 rounds in of the RTA F4 Championship, and still no closer to finding out who is going to win this year. Rory O'Shea is our leader at present, but with Jason Smith and Ronan Doherty sniffing around the top three, and of course the two McClemens brothers not even hitting their stride, still plenty left to figure out as we slowly inch towards brighter days. And from the pouring rain of Donington Park, the hills are alive with the sound of V6s and an altogether more springtime feel to the latest round of the RTA F4 Championship here at the Red Bull Ring. My name is Kevin Galvin. I'm joined as always by Evan Dalton. Thank you so much for joining us for the latest round. And a track that we haven't been to in quite a while here in the RTA seasons. A track that, of course, was known as the A1 Ring not so long ago and fell under disrepair before being lovingly restored back to what we know now as the Red Bull Ring. Evan, thank you so much as ever for joining me. We're here, of course, at the Red Bull Ring on a nicer day, as I said earlier on, 20-degree air temperature, 16% humidity, only 3 kilometers an hour, so very slight wind, partially cloudy. That track temperature, though, much higher than we saw last week. Just 20 degrees track temp last week. This time it's at 45 degrees on this Grand Prix configuration. 4.318 kilometers in the country of Austria. Of course, we're in Spielberg, which is more of a region than a city, but the closest thing we have geographically to this Red Bull Ring, which is right up in the Styrian Mountains. An altitude, of course, meaning that we're at higher altitude of 700 meters. So, of course, you are welcome to round 3 of the RTA Virtual Motorsport Series presented by us at Gantry TV. And Evan, an altogether more pleasant evening for the drivers this evening.
Yeah, hi Kevin, hi folks. It is a little bit nicer here in Austria, which sometimes can be quite cold, but certainly when Formula 1 has come here, it's been nice and warm, nice and toasty track temperature tonight, and in all honesty, not a bad air temperature as well. I think we take it over here on the Emerald Isle. It is set to be a much more pleasant week here in Styria. A lot of drivers struggled with Donington. It was a horrible evening there, and it's going to be an exciting one tonight. The slipstream is going to be strong. The overtaking, hopefully, will be entertaining, and we'll have a good night of things.
Yeah, really looking forward to this one. We, of course, are at the Red Bull Ring in Austria for the third round of this RTA Championship. And a reminder for you, do give us a follow and a subscription, and of course get involved in the chat this evening. Good to see a few people joining us already. So we began life in Sao Paulo, where we moved back to our little mini European leg, where we went last week to Castle Donington, and this time the short trip to Spielberg in Austria, founded in 1141 in the region of Styria. Just 5,000 people living around the track, not too many people to bother. And the famous Red Bull Ring, 4.318 kilometers, as I said, only 10 turns, and a race lap record of 105.6 set by Carlos Sainz Jr. In his McLaren in 2020. Of course, that was a COVID curtailed F1 season. So you started taking Niki Lauda curve, then all the way up the hill to Remus. That's going to be a big overtaking spot. Schloss Gold is a difficult downhill right-hander before you go to Rauch and Wort, then Rindt, and then you finish off at the Red Bull Mobile curve before finishing your lap. So only 10 turns, Evan. But some of those really heavy braking zones give great opportunities for overtaking.
Yeah, only 10 turns, but 10 very good ones at that. Well, 9 turns is kind of give or take. It's a flat left-hander. 4.318 kilometer circuit, of course, as you were saying, Kevin. It is a very, very short circuit, but look, it always provides brilliant battling in absolutely any car, and that's bound to continue here tonight. I know the drivers are quite looking forward to race at it. We predict that wheel-to-wheel racing is going to be very, very decent tonight, much better than Donington, maybe even much better than the first round of the season in Brazil, where it was quite impressive. I think we're going to get our first proper showcase of what this RTA Virtual Motorsport F4 Championship can offer.
Absolutely. And you look at the standings there, Rory O'Shea on top, Jason Smith in second, and then Ronan Doherty and Brandon McGahan, both with penalties. So Ronan certainly showing the pace and Brandon alongside him. Then you've Jason Cooper in fifth with Dylan McClements, Conor Melia, Robert Callahan, Jordan Kelly, and Sean McClements down in 10th. Obviously, Jordan missed the first week, but it really atoned for it last week, Evan. So, despite the fact that Rory and Jason currently hold those top two positions, there is a multitude of drivers in that top 10 that could potentially be challenging come the end of this season.
Yes, Jordan Kelly, of course, missing Brazil, so he has his drop round pretty much determined as it is. But it was a pole position and 2 wins for him last week in Donington Park. Really impressive and was definitely back to his best. We know Jordan always likes to ironically shine when it's not shining and when the rain pours down. And he won't have that luxury here tonight. One interesting thing about Jordan was his inability to cut through the field in heat number 3, and that's not something too dissimilar to what we saw in Heat 3 in Interlagos, where the frontrunners did eventually get to the front of the grid, but not with ease. It is seemingly quite difficult to pull off the hat trick. We had Jason Smith close in Brazil, Jordan Kelly close in Donington, but neither doing so. Jordan, though, will be up near the front again tonight. His practice laps have been good. Expect something similar to last week.
Yeah, it's going to be really nip and tuck between a whole lot of them. As you said, some very good laps out there. We'll be seeing Dylan McClement's effort on the screen later on this morning, or later on this evening, should I say. But yeah, it's going to be a really, really tight championship. As you said, Evan, like Jordan Kelly winning 2 heats, as you said, back on the pace. But generally, for some of the drivers that we would expect to see near the front, like the McClemens brothers, it's been a difficult start. Dylan kind of atoning somewhat last week, but they're normally names we would expect to see challenging for titles. And for them, I suppose, and for the whole team DDR team, there's ground to make up as we head into the third round.
Yeah, Team DDR as a whole, or if you don't know who that we're talking about with that, folks, that is Ronan Doherty, Dylan McClements, and Sean McClements. Those three are teammates. There has been a McClements or a Cooper in the top 10 at every race this season in our little brotherly fight that myself and Kevin have created. But in terms of Team DDR, it's not been too promising. It's been a slow start to the season. Dylan, Ronan, and Sean are three drivers who have been battling for wins for what seems like the last 6 months. It's been Ronan's worst start to the season in a long while. He had a poor start last season as well in the LMP2s with only 1 win in 3 weeks. In the GT4s, he had 2 wins in 3 weeks. If he doesn't win tonight, it'll be no wins in 3 weeks. So he doesn't want to make that one of his worst starts to an RTA season ever. We say worst starts, he's still third in the championship. It's not too disappointing for him. Dylan McClements was consistent again last week. We saw some similar traits of his title winning season in the LMP2s with the consistent podiums, but he will be looking for the big results. Sean McClements, he'll tell you himself, it was a disaster last week, but I predict things are going to be much better for those three here in Austria.
Yeah, and the weather is going to have a big impact on it. I suppose the first evening in Brazil was difficult, very high track temperatures. Obviously, all these guys getting used to, well, everybody except Rory O'Shea, we might come to that in a second, getting used to these F4 cars after driving in the more closed wheel the last time. This time, the weather, or sorry, last week, should I say, in Donington, the weather a lot more difficult to drive in. So very hard for these guys to try and get a handle on the conditions. I suppose this evening, a little bit more what we're used to seeing. Track temperatures high, but not really, really high. And I'm sure people will know next weekend we have Bathurst 12 hours coming up. That will see track temperatures touching the mid 50s, which is about as high as it gets. We're in the mid 40s at the moment. So good opportunity for some of these guys to really show where they are in the championship, because we're kind of expecting these kind of conditions as we head further on in the championship. So yeah, Evan, it's going to be, this is kind of the first time we really get to see these guys with a couple of weeks under their belt and in conditions that are suitable to try and go wheel to wheel. So probably tonight will give us our most accurate look so far as to exactly where the field are.
Yeah, I don't think there is such a thing as a normal RTA race, but this is probably the closest we're going to get. There's no drastic positions, or sorry, drastic conditions, I should say, in terms of wet weather or high track temperatures. Donington Park was just awful last week to try drive on. It was drive to survive, not racing, really. Tonight we're going to get some actual racing, and we hopefully will get, as you said, Kevin, the best look going forward. There's short enough seasons here. If you still want to have a foot in the championship fight and you haven't had the best start, tonight is the night to turn the wick up. You've got to get a good result tonight if you've had a poor start to the season and you plan on having a long championship run.
Yeah, and obviously tonight is the last night where new drivers can come in. No more new signups after this week. And of course, we have one new driver, Miles Ragg. That's an interesting one. I haven't heard much about him. I don't know, Evan, do you have much experience with him? But he's another new name on an already packed grid for what a championship that's really kind of taken people's interest, hasn't it? There's quite large grids for these races, which makes for really good racing. And I'm just having a look there. Emma Dempsey back involved as well. She's been missing for the last couple of weeks. David Prunty in there as well. Shane Henry. So there's a few names, particularly obviously Emma and the likes of the new guys coming in that we haven't really, I suppose, like they might necessarily be challenging at the top of the standings, but they still have their own championships to fight for as well.
Yes, they do. Miles Ragg, not sure if he is on the grid tonight, but certainly was practicing last night. He does have a connection to the grid as it is. He's a Formula 4 driver with Swift Cooper, so Jason Cooper, Luke Cooper, you can make the connection there, folks. Has won plenty in iRacing endurance race and is quite a good karter. Won the 2022 Madures 24 overall race. I'm not sure if that's a 24-hour race or a 24-lap race, but he won something with 24 in it, which is never something to turn your nose up at in motorsport. So Miles Ragg will be looking to try make an impact on this grid. Is on the grid tonight, folks, just to confirm for you, and is out for qualifying now. So it's another driver with real-world experience coming into a very packed grid.
Yeah, there's just so many real world drivers involved here, and a lot of them have massive open world experiences. Now we get live pictures, thanks, of course, to Ronan Hederman in the background, working away diligently as always to bring us pictures from wherever we are around the world. And you can have a look there and see that Brandon McGaughan is our leader so far. We're having a look at him now in the 69 Ferrari, and Brandon on top at the moment. Oh, he's just gone to the bottom. Oh, and even further down now, Brandon. So he's the third man in the 69. That is not what you want to see. And I'll stop now, I promise. Ronan Doherty going top of the timing table. Ronan, he is, as you said, it's been a disappointing start for him, but I suppose the fact that we have 3 races means that, an evening means that we still have, let me do my quick maths here. What's 6 by 3? That's 18 heats to go. So there's still plenty of time left, even if you haven't had the greatest start to the season.
Yeah, still plenty of time, but I think the approach that needs to be taken is almost one by one for Ronan Doherty. He's taken that approach plenty before, and he's taken many an RTA win, 5 in LMP2s, 13 in Formula Vs. We remember that dominance, potentially fondly, potentially not so fondly, depending on your thoughts on Ronan Doherty. And then, of course, in the Mustang America's Cup, where he had a similar enough start to the season as he did maybe this season, and he still took 7 wins. Qualifying has been really where he's shown his ability. 4 pole positions in both of his last 2 seasons, and then 3 in the one before. Hasn't taken a pole so far this season, but is currently the quickest in qualifying by mere margins. A quick look at our face cameras, folks. Let's point some names out for you. That top left is, of course, Jordan Kelly, two-time race winner so far this season. Top right, that's Kevin Joyce. And then 2 new faces on the bottom. To the left is Simon Hutchings, and to the right is Jamal Kandor, reporting from a new property in the Lebanon. Great to have Jamal on the screen. Not great for whoever has to clean that box mess behind.
Yeah, and I suspect they may be one and the same person. I think some mother cleaning is needed as well, because I think we saw some cockroaches in and around that from a photo that he had posted earlier. So I imagine that's a hazard that comes along with living in the Middle East. I'm sure the odd cockroach is better than being literally not having seen the sun for about 3 weeks, which is many of us in Ireland. I do think that some of us will be turning almost
Factually
translucent.
correct as well. We genuinely haven't had an hour of sunlight for 9 days.
Yeah, it's been the longest record at Dublin Airport, I believe, was set today. So yeah, that's happy February, folks. And as I said, I think we'll be turning the same color as those lines that you see on the left-hand side of your screen, because there was literally no melanin whatsoever. So as we look at, I think that's TJ Taff, no, Rory Shea, sorry, we're on board with our championship leader, who's way down in 10th at the moment. Let's give you a flavour of what we can expect to see, or what makes up a good lap here, courtesy of last year's championship winner, Dylan McClemens. As we start going down the main straight, looking down the curve, tricky right-handed, that sausage curve on the right-hand half. Obviously, with the sausage on the left as well, which has caused controversy in a number of Formula 1 seasons gone back. Then a long run there, so we get a good exit out of the middle there, to come up towards the Remus turn 3. This is a hugely important overtaking spot. You see them trying to stick to the left as much as possible. Expect to see conservative lines heading into that one, particularly in the opening corner of the race, and potentially some carnage there as well. It's such a wide track, which obviously you would say would normally promote overtaking, but sometimes it also promotes people taking liberties. As we go down to the Schlossgold turn number 4, this is a really tricky right-hander, and this is where Alex Albon got raced so hard those 3 years ago. And into this section, this one here is with Raunch and Vothover. These are two really tricky corners, and Dylan's making it look easy, but I absolutely cannot stress enough how quickly that turn 6 comes on you. It seems to tighten the way these guys go through it. That exit curve really just seems to sneak up on you in a way. The fourth curve is more of a flowing one as we head back down towards the start-finish straight. These are two right-handers here, Rint, and then followed by the final corner, Red Bull Mobile, which you can see Dylan takes a really wide line, cuts right across the apex, tries to keep it in a straight line as much as possible as we cross back across the line for that lap. And as we see, a 131 is just about shading it at the moment, and Jason Smith is the man in possession of that. And with only 2.5 minutes left, there's not a huge amount of time for anybody to try and beat that. Probably maybe time for one more, Evan, if you've timed it correctly.
Yeah, potentially. It is Jason Smith who is top of the order with a 131.933. Then Ronan Doherty in second, Brandon McCaughan in third. Conor Melia has actually just jumped to third ahead of McCaughan. Conor's been a bit of a dark horse so far this season. Currently sits 7th in the championship and picked up a couple of nice results across the previous 2 weeks. You can see Sean McClemens providing the slipstream up the hill. He currently sits in 8th behind Miles Ragg. So Ragg already making a bit of an impact here. We've seen some neat debuts. The 3 Smith Coopers, or Swift Coopers, I should say. I don't think Jason Smith has taken ownership of the team just yet. Swift Coopers rounding in towards the Auckland curve and probably providing slipstream as well. All the quick laps we've seen will definitely have had some sort of tow. But 1.5 minutes left to go in qualifying. Now is the time to get a good lap on the board. If you have anything left in the tank, it's time to produce it. Jason Cooper a little bit left and is able to pip Sean McClemens for 8th.
Yeah, Jason's now at the front of that train, so he's going to be the one who's going to struggle. You can see the team DDR guys also helping each other out. Ronan Doherty there, providing, I'm not sure who it is that's providing him a slipstream. I'm trying to see a number on that machine, but it could be Sean McClemens, but giving a slipstream to Ronan. So anything you can do, I can do better, Team DDR say, as Ronan he's going to pull out of that lap, I think. I don't think he's going to be able to challenge. Let's see what happens when he crosses the line. No, he cannot. Ronan Doherty, you start to see Charles pulling up on track and finishing out their qualifying session. So that means that Jason Smith currently provisionally has the qualifying. And of course, here in iRacing is a little bit different than what you see in the real world. There's no such thing as the clock ticking on. Once we get over that 15-minute mark, that is it, you're done. So for Jason Cooper now in that train, he has to try and get in there before the clock finishes. It's going to be very, very tight for Jason. And indeed, the man behind him, who I believe is Luke Cooper, his brother, they're being led by Miles Ragg. So the 3, as you say, Swift Cooper guys coming down the stretch. And I think they might run out of time here, Evan.
Yep, not going to be a lap on the board. They run out of time. didn't seem to be improving anyway, so I'm not sure they'll be too upset with that one. But it is Jason Smith who is on pole position for the second time this season. He took pole in the sunshine in Interlagos, and as we return to dry conditions and slick tyres, Jason Cooper is quickest once again. It is Ronan Doherty in second, Conor Mealy in third, and Brandon McCaughan in fourth. And it is Dylan McClements, Jordan Kelly, Rory O'Shea, Miles Ragg, Jason Cooper, Sean McClements in 10th out of Robbie Callaghan, Peter McCann, Dara Halley, Theo Lestrange, Luke Cooper, Logan Hoy, Simon Hutchings, Finlay Melvin, Kevin Joyce and Sergey Grabon in 20th. A little bit further down then is Ken Doyle, Brian McCarthy, Dermot Toomey, ahead of TJ Taft, Tony Stack, Joshua Henry, Phil Upson, Andrew Murphy, David Prunty, Jacob Hobbs, Emma Dempsey, Jamal Gandor and Martin McGonigal rounds out the field.
Yeah, it's very, very tight there. The top top 11, should I say, within that half a second gap, and it is a tight track. Like, it's wide, but it's tight in terms of its length. So it just means that everything's kind of squished in together. So we'd expect to see some really, really close racing here at the Red Bull Ring. Thank you to Adam Dowling. Hello to you. Thank you for getting in touch. The regular at Mondello. All these guys know Adam. And of course, hello to Evan Walsh as well, who is a serial lurker. Some would say almost bordering on creep at this point. But we do love you anyway, Evan. We'd love to see you come back to the grid and not be creeping on our stream, but instead be driving. But as it is, Jason Smith leads us out, and Evan, it's really an opportunity here, as you say, for Jason to try and get back on top spot.
Yeah, real opportunity here for Jason Smith. He is well within the championship battle, showed some very good pace last week in Donington Park, and weirdly enough, showed a little bit of a different racing style, which turned out to be quite successful. He's only finished off the podium on two occasions this season, and Brazil we won't talk about, but in Donington Park heat number 1 he just narrowly missed out in 4th, so it's been very, very consistent for Jason Smith, and he will be looking to continue that run of form here at the Red Bull Ring. Needs to get a good launch though, ahead of Ronan Doherty on the front row. Conor Mealy will be lurking right behind as the 5 red lights come on, and we go racing for the first time this season in Austria. Unbelievable launch from Conor Mealy. Very slow start by Ronan Doherty, heading up the hill in towards the Nicky Lauda curve for the first time. Brandon McCaughan and Dylan McClements side by side as well. It's going to be McClements on the outside. Cracking start for Jason Smith. He's looking to get away up the hill and out of slipstream range as soon as possible. A couple of big moves behind Robbie Callaghan, making up some positions. Great start for Joshua Henry near the back as well. Sean McClements looking to go elbows up the hill as it is. We're braking for turn number 3 for the first time. First real overtaking opportunity. Brandon McCaughan dives down the inside of Dylan McClements at the apex of the corner. McClements will look to fight this one back. Doesn't seem like he is going to get the slipstream. Seems all relatively clean on the opening lap so far.
Yeah, very clean stuff thus far. And Miles Ragg, our newcomer, really finding it difficult here. He's down 3 places already in the opening lap. So it just goes to show you how you can, even if you qualify well, you can still find it very difficult. Jordan Kelly picking up a quick 1x there, but he's still very much in the fight, the number 30 car. And the only man really who's lost out is Sergey Grabin, who we just see tumbling down the standings, and David Prunty. Sergey's now down 13 places. He must have had an issue earlier on in that 34 machine. But other than that, as you say, Evan, a very clean start as we head down this section. You can just see that train of cars behind, and a move here potentially from Rory O'Shea, our championship leader.
Yeah, Rory O'Shea looking for the move down the inside in towards the Ocken round the curve. This is very brave indeed, especially to try and pull it off on Dylan McClements. He's got the job done. Runs off the circuit, however, it was all elbows out. Jordan Kelly looking to try and get involved in this one as well and potentially go free abreast in towards turn number 1. Jason Smith leads the opening lap here in the Red Bull Ring, but we're looking at the battle for 5th place. Kelly's got it done, and Rory O'Shea runs very wide indeed. He's going to lose the position to Dylan's older brother Sean McClements as well, and now he's going to be put into a dogfight with 2 of the Swift Coopers in the form of Jason and Miles Ragg. Robbie Callaghan is there as well. Theo Lestrange getting the spot. So Rory has had a nightmare start to lap number 2 here as the championship leader. There's a big dive in the back, or this big dive just in front of them, I should say. I think that is that's Peter McCann potentially looking for the move on the Wexford native. This is going to be last of the late breakers down towards turn 4.
Yeah, I'd be kicking himself, Rory O'Shea, but I suppose that is the risk you take, and these are the places that you need to make up. Rory obviously having a disappointing qualifying for his own sake, and now desperate to try and make back some places, and somebody gone wide there I think they're just going to recover it. That is Dylan McClemens. So plenty of action for McClemens in the last half an hour. Oh, that's Robbie Callahan spinning out. That's Callahan touching another. What's one of the Luke? That's the Luke Cooper, and a big accident. And that includes Rory O'Shea. So the Wexford man, our championship leader, caught up in that. Jason Cooper. There's another man going off the distance. That's Josh Henry. A whole load of issues going on there. McCarthy involved as well. Oh, and just about avoiding follow-up contact is Jason Cooper, but that all stemmed from an incident that spun around Robbie Callahan getting involved with one of the Swift Cooper cars and pivoting across the track, both of them coming back across the track, and then Rory O'Shea seemed like the innocent bystander, but unfortunately a very, very I suppose attritional accident there, particularly when you consider, Evan, who was involved in it.
Yes, Rory O'Shea, Jason Cooper, two of the front runners. O'Shea tumbling over, Cooper losing his back wing. He's raced Formula 4s in real life, though that shouldn't really be an issue for him. But tumbling down the order, a lot of positions gained in that. Jacob Hobbs, I tell you what, his prayers were answered, gained almost 10 positions in that battle. There was a lot more spinners as well. We saw McCarthy with a bit of a dodgy rejoin, but seemed to get away with it. But yeah, Rory O'Shea, the biggest loser in that one. Miles Ragg as well. So two of the Swift Coopers dumped down the order. Luke Cooper is their remaining hopeful for this race. He still remains in 9th spot. Up the front though, Jason Smith got the best launch, arguably of the season, ahead of 2nd place. But that 2nd place man, Ronan Doherty, is hungry for that race win. Doesn't want to continue this poor run of form, and he's within 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, interesting. I'd love to go back and have a look at what caused all that, and I'd love to see which one of the Swift Cooper's cars was it. Luke, I think it may have been Luke Cooper, but I'm not entirely sure. Now we're going to have a look at it at our RTA F4 replay. We're going to have a look at Brian McCarthy here in the 32 car. So he's in that yellow, no, he's in that green machine in the background, and Brian is going to arrive on the scene of this, so it should give us an idea of exactly what happened. So Brian spins around, but that's a separate incident, I think. And he ends up being collected slightly by somebody else. Now Josh Henry. Let's have a look at Josh, because Josh arrives on the scene of this accident as well. And it's already well underway by the time he gets there. I think Robbie Callahan was the man in the middle of that. And I think it's between himself and Luke Cooper. You can see good evasive work there from Jason Cooper to avoid Josh Henry re-entering the track. But I think it may have been Robbie Callahan who was caught up in that. So we're going to have an opportunity to have a look at that in a second. But there is somebody going down the standings. That's TJ Taff and Simon Hutchings. Hutchings now was involved in a battle for 12th position for Kevin Joy. So I was going to have a look at both of them on face cam. But Simon tumbling way down the order in that time. So must have had an accident in the meantime. But as it stands, Jason Smith still in the lead, but Ronan Doherty very close and closing at the moment, Devin. That gap is now down to 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, this is going to be a right old tussle. Ronan, I imagine, might try to stay behind for a couple of laps because that slipstream seems very, very powerful up the hill. 63.5 meters elevation change. It would be the 2nd biggest on the Formula 1 calendar. Probably to be, or are we going to Spa this season in F4s? I think we are, so probably is still the 2nd biggest here. But Jason Cooper has defended well so far this season. We saw a very impressive defensive performance against Rory O'Shea in Interlagos, where he was able to stay in front no matter what was thrown at him. So this is no easy feat for Ronan Doherty. A little bit further behind, Jordan Kelly now has to defend from Sean McClemens. It's going a little bit better for Team DDR this week, but I'm not going to say anything too drastic just yet.
Yeah, still plenty of time in this. I mean, when you consider we still have 4 minutes left, and it's unusual because these first opening races, they're so short. 10 minutes is really just such a short amount of time. We're so used to 15-minute heats in so many other series. The 10 seems short, but with such short laps around here, it kind of balances itself out. So we're still seeing plenty of laps being turned, despite the fact that we are on that shorter time scale, and plenty of incident. That accident now having a huge impact because, of course, Jason Smith leading, but unfortunately for Rory O'Shea, way down the standings, he's in 29th currently. I'm not even sure if he's out on track. But Rory now will start the 2nd race way back as well. And it's going to take an absolutely Herculean effort for the Wexford man and the High Prix car to get back to within the top 8 and to be within a shout of that. So that's the way these evenings go. Everyone has a drop round. So this could be Rory O'Shea's. So this may mean little in the course of the overall championship. But Evan, there's Robbie going off wide there in the foreground. and he's being followed closely by Luke Cooper and Peter McCann. Good work from Luke, in fairness to him, Evan, to because he was kind of in the center of all that busyness, but manages to kind of extricate himself without any major contact. And Robbie Callahan as well, we saw him spinning out, but he's still managing to hold on to ninth position. So despite the incident earlier, it seemed like our championship leader was the one who potentially came out worst.
Yeah, Robbie Callahan this season has had very impressive pace. He's been on it most weeks, but just quite inconsistent, making a good few mistakes. Luke Cooper doing a great job in 10th. He is an instructor at Castle Coombe, so collision avoidance is certainly what I would want in my racing coach. So fair play to Luke Cooper for that. This is Brandon McCaughan defending from Sean McClements and Jordan Kelly. So Sean has dispatched Jordan and had a couple of car lengths on him coming up the hill. It's bunched up a little bit now that Sean is stuck behind Brandon McCaughan, but this is a very interesting fight for fourth. This is Peter McCann trying it around the outside of Luke Cooper. Not going to get the slipstream from Robbie Callahan in front, so presumably is going to lose that one now. We're into the braking zone of Schloss Goal, and it is Brandon McCaughan who is still ahead of Sean McClements in the battle for fourth. McClements might try the long way around the outside here. The corner where it all kicked off a little bit earlier on in the race. Does he have the grip? Gonna try the up and under. Round 3 last season, pulled off an unbelievable up and under on Peter McCann, but can't quite do one here on Brandon McCaughan.
Yeah, we expect to see plenty of those next weekend at the Principality Stadium, and plenty of these drivers have an interest in the oval ball affairs, as I do know that you do as well, Evan, but no up and under to be seen thus far here in Austria. They're not big rugby lovers in the Styrian Mountains. Just looking at Peter McCann, he's after losing out there, he's down to 12th position now. I was going to say he's looking in his mirrors, but for now, Logan Hoy is firmly in front of him and pushing hard to overtake Luke Cooper. So potentially plenty of action here as Brandon McGaughan goes wide there, trying to hold on to that 4th position. He's desperately trying to hold off Sean McClements in this train of 7 places. Jordan Kelly is one of the men we have with face cams. We'll be able to have a look at how this battle progresses from his point of view in a moment, but Sean going round the outside of Brandon. We can't make that move stick, and that opens the door now potentially for Jordan, the Donegal man, to try and slip in there. He's not wearing his Donegal jersey, or at least he's not outwardly wearing his Donegal jersey tonight. There is Jordan Kelly. I wonder, does he hope that maybe ditching the county colours might bring a change of fortune? But Jordan in amongst it here, very tight between himself and Sean McClements, and Brandon, Evan, it has to be said, doing a fantastic job as we expect to see Jason Smith cross the line shortly.
He is doing an absolutely unbelievable job, and Sean McClements as well to keep 5th position. It all got very bunched up, and now round goes Sean McClements. Utterly disappointing. He's not going to like that spin at all. That's going to throw away big points in 5th position. As here comes Jason Smith under huge pressure from Ronan Doherty. He's going to have to try something very similar to what Jack Miller pulled off in MotoGP here a few years ago and try get under Smith in towards the final corner. Won't do so. Drag race to the line. It'll be Jason Smith, the Selbridge man, who comes out on top. Ronan Doherty second. Connor Melia, really impressive. And coming home in 3rd spot, it's going to be Brandon McCaughan, who does fend off Dylan for 4th. Sean McClements after that spin will still get a top 10 finish, so the damage fairly minimised as Luke Cooper able to come home in 11th. We've a couple of the minor placings coming home now. Tony Stack, don't think his name was mentioned in that race, but the way that race went, I think that was a good thing.
Yeah, Kevin Joyce, another whose name wasn't mentioned, but he'll be absolutely thrilled with his race as Sergei Grabin crosses the line. Miles Ragg, having qualified so far up, he ended up losing 14 places in the end, in amongst all that nonsense as well, in the Swift Cooper machine, the 31, and his teammate Jason now just going through the last bit. That'll be a big blow to his championship credentials for Jason Cooper. And speaking of blows to championship credentials, of course, for Rory O'Shea, this could matter little if he decides to use this as a drop round, but having this result means that he has to be on it now every single evening, every single Tuesday night from now till the end of the season if he wants to stay within the championship battle. But yeah, some really good performances there. Peter McCann getting a top 10, Robbie Callahan doing really well to recover from that early incident to finish in 8th position, and Dara Halley finishing in 7th. What a superb result for the 802 machine. So Rory crosses the line, and that brings us to the end of what was a absolutely enthralling opening heat here at the 3rd round of the RTA F4 Championship.
Very intriguing indeed, and here's your full race results from it, folks. Jason Smith, your race winner by just under 0.2 of a second. Then it's Ronan Doherty, Conor Melia, Brandon McCaughan, Dylan McClements, Darragh Halley, Robbie Callahan, Sean McClements, Peter McCann, Luke Cooper, Kevin Joyce, Logan Hoy, Tony Stack, Phil Upson, Dermot Toomey, Sergey Krabun and Ken Doyle, David Prunty, Martin McGonigal. Actually quite a good race from the final spot on the grid ahead of Simon Hutchings. It is coming up that Jordan Kelly is in 21st, so I'm not too sure about that one. Miles Ragg then in 22nd, and it was Finlay Melvin, Theo Lestrange ahead of Jason Cooper, Rory O'Shea, Brian McCarthy, Emma Dempsey, Joshua Henry, Jacob Hobbs, TJ Taff, Andrew Murphy, and unfortunately Jamal Gandor down the back of the grid.
Yeah, disappointing for Jamal in his new spot. Before we get going here, because we're going to have just a little bit longer now to race start than we normally have. As I say that, we're about to take the lights, so back over to you, Evan.
Yeah, we're not having too long a hiatus, eager to get things underway here in the Red Bull Ring. It's once again Smith and Doherty on the front row as we go racing here in Austria. Much better launch from Ronan Doherty this time round. A very good launch once again from Conor Melia as they're single file for the first 4 cars in towards turn number 1. That's someone already gone round. That is Darragh Halley, who's going to hit the wall on the inside, and that's going to cause a bit of a Constantina effect, and there's a load of cars gone round. Oh my dearie me, it's like something out of a very old NES game. Jason Smith heads up the hill though, Ronan Doherty in second, Conor Melia third. There's not going to be much of a challenge in towards turn number 3 and 4. Still Smith comfortably in front, a little bit further back. Cracking start for Rory O'Shea, up 9 positions, currently ahead of Brian McCarthy, now up 11 positions I should say. He's just got 2 in the braking zone, so revenge is certainly on the cards for Rory O'Shea.
Yeah, and unfortunately we're having a few issues here, but having a look at what's going on further down the grid, Rory O'Shea again getting caught up in an instant. Phil Upson turning himself around on the inside curve of T number 3 Remus, and Rory having to take evasive action, which meant he dropped down a couple of more places. He's currently in 16th position, is Rory O'Shea, our championship leader, so still with an outside chance, plenty of time left in this race, but that opening accident taking out a whole host of people. And now big changes across the grid. We're going to try and keep up, but I do apologize for some of the technical issues we're having here. These will be sorted as soon as we possibly can. But we still will keep going with what we have. Brandon McGaughan down 1 place. Theo Lestrange up 10 places. Josh Henry up 10 places. Rory O'Shea, as I said, our championship leader, up 10 places. And we'll continue with what we can, folks. Once again, we apologize for these technical issues. We're hoping to get them sorted for you as soon as possible. Sergey Grabin is under pressure big time from Rory O'Shea as they head down the opening straight. But at the moment, Jason Smith leads Rory Doherty, then Conor Melia, then Dylan McClements, followed by Sean McClements. So, Evan, the 2 McClements brothers back in the top 5 where we expect to see them.
Yeah, great start from Sean McClements. He's up 3 spots just behind Dylan McClements as they head in towards turn number 3 up the hill. Rory O'Shea able to get a position ahead of Sergey Grabin now, so he's up to 13. Andrew Murphy with a cracking start as well. He's up 12 positions to 20th spot, and Theo Lestrange up 13 to 11 as well. So still Jason Smith in front, just by about 2 car lengths as they're braking for the left-hander now of the Rauch curve of turn number 6. So Ronan Doherty in second, then Conor Melia still in third. Dylan McClements is in fourth, just ahead of his brother Sean McClements, but those two currently working together to try and catch the leader train. Remember, this is of course a reverse grid, folks, for the next race. So Peter McCann currently on that reverse pole position spot. So Jordan Kelly in 9th spot, up 12 from whatever happened to him at the end of race number 1. Very eager to try get past Peter. He's all over the back of Peter McCann, heading down in towards the final 2 corners. The 2 downhill right-handers past the very large Austrian flag on the runoff.
Yeah, and again for Jason Smith, this is really, really good. This is just giving him a great opportunity to further extend his championship credentials, and it would be interesting to see what happened with Jordan Kelly in terms of that position. I would like to see what exactly happened there to him. I'm just trying to get my own live pictures here on a backup stream if I can here. To see if I can try and get more. Oh, that's a big accident. There's a big accident there in the between Sergey Grabin and I think that's Finlay. No, it's not Finlay Mevin. It might be Brian McCarthy behind them, but Sergey and Brian coming together. I think that's car number 23. No, it's no. Anyway, it's there was an accident there involving Sergey. Sorry, we're just trying to get some as much data as we can. But it is Jason, and it's very tight as they head down into the Rauch curve, Evan. Jason's still holding them off, but it's going to be a long time from now to try and hold off. Still almost 11 over, just under, so I say 11 minutes left.
Yes, just under 11 minutes left. I'm sorry. I've just started laughing because Sergey Grabin on his live stream, whenever he gets the meatball flag, it literally comes up meatball time at IKEA. That's very funny. But anyways, the sun is still shining here in Austria as we are currently 4.5 minutes into this second heat of the evening. It is still Jason Smith who is leading, but Ronan Doherty is currently lapping quicker. He did put the fastest lap of the race in on the previous trip round. So Ronan Doherty lapping very well indeed, and once again quicker than Jason Smith. They are both in the 1:32.3s though. Conor Amelia still in third, and it is Dylan McClements. Robbie Callaghan and Kevin Joyce have both managed to get past Sean McClements, so he's made a mistake through one of the corners, and Sean McClements has now fallen down to 7th, but they are all in a big snake heading up the hill towards turn number 3 once again. So there is no separation there. The only real separation has come from the top 3. They've all run away once again, and then there is a second back to Dylan McClements in 4th. A little bit further down the field, Rory O'Shea has just overtaken Diarmuid Toomey for 11th position, so he's now up 15 places. That once again, it was a move on the exit of turn number 1. So Rory has found his overtaking place. Brandon McCaughton has had a horrible couple of laps. He's down 13 spots to 17th, so some sort of incident there for the Ballycastle man.
Yeah, some big issues we're having here, so apologies. We're trying to stick with it as best we can, but we're trying to do the best with what we have in front of us. As you say, it's starting to stretch out a little bit now in terms of the chasing pack. It looks like car number 1 leading there at the moment, but there's I suppose it's one of those tracks that when you start to pull away, the toe is so important, Evan, that once you start to get a group and you start to pull away, it is very difficult then for cars behind to try and catch up, because it's such a fast flowing track. Obviously you have a couple of heavy braking zones, but there aren't that many corners that you can make up a massive amount of time, and really the toe is kind of key to trying to keep some sort of pace up around here.
Yeah, the toe really is key, but I tell you what, Dylan McClements in 4th position currently is giving it a real good go. Fastest lap of the race on his last attempt, and he's the only man on this grid in this race lapping in the 1:31s. It was a 1:31.9 the last time round for Dylan McClements. Kevin Joyce is right behind him on track though. Up 6 positions to 5th, then it is Robbie Callaghan in 6th, and Sean McClements still in 7th spot. So not much change in the front of the order. It's Smith, Doherty, Melia, McClements, Joyce, Callaghan, McClements, McCann, and Kelly O'Shea, your top 10. So Rory O'Shea just dispatching Theo Lestrange, and as a surprise to no one, it was on the exit of the first corner once again. So we found Rory O'Shea's strong point, as we have found the pictures once again. The cable has been plugged back in, and we are finished with the radio commentary, hopefully for the rest of the evening, Kevin.
Yeah, hopefully so, and it's great to join back in, and what we see is a really tight battle between these two, Jason Smith and Ronan Doherty, and we don't expect either of them to give an inch. Ronan obviously has 15 penalty points already this season, so that's something he'll have to be conscious of, with Ronan and Brandon in the top 4 already receiving penalty points. Jason Smith has a clean record thus far of penalty points in the championship, but yeah, certainly it's an opportunity for Jason to really make some ground. And what about Conor Melia here? Like in the 56 machine, you named him, in fairness to you, Evan, before we even started, about being a dark horse in this championship. But Conor doing an absolutely superb job in 3rd position and really looking confident in these F4s.
Yeah, he really is looking confident. Conor definitely prefers single seaters over sort of the tin tops, your prototypes. Races a Formula V in real life, I should say, does Conor Melia, and won, of course, a Formula V race here in RTA Virtual Motorsport when we did that 2 seasons ago. Got 4th in the championship on that occasion as well, so really impressive stuff from Conor Melia. He's just sitting right behind the top 2 as look at Dylan McClements. I tell you what, the lap times he's put in the last couple of laps have been unbelievable, and he has called that 1 second gap to the front 3. So vintage Dylan McClements is returning, as that's Jamal gone round.
Yeah, Jamal's really struggling this season, isn't he? He's just not quite getting to grips, and obviously a lot going on with Jamal at the moment in terms of changing house and everything else. So I think we have to give him the benefit of the doubt, because it's very hard for him with everything to try and get going. And in fairness, it's a minor miracle he's even on the grid, considering he's swapping houses. Brian McCarthy clearly having an issue there in the 32 machine. He's down as Rory O'Shea now, trying to move around the outside of Jordan Kelly. And this is Theo Lestrange. My apologies, Theo Lestrange. And that's Theo in a old Williams-esque livery. It almost is like a Braun GP kind of livery, but Rory getting that move done, and superb work from the 81 machine. And I said it would have taken a Herculean effort from Rory O'Shea to get inside the top 8. Well, 16 places and 9.5 minutes later, Rory is now staring firmly at the back of Jordan Kelly, and looking at the spot that Robbie Callahan currently occupies. Still plenty of time in this race for Rory to potentially start our final race on reverse pole, and that would make a massive difference to how this evening has gone for him.
Yeah, it's been really impressive from Rory O'Shea so far. Theo Lestrange has had a great race here as well, up 13, and I have a very niche statistic about Theo Lestrange that I've been kind of excited to share, because I don't know how I found it, but very impressive race from Theo Lestrange in Interlagos, as it seems like there's a problem there for Kevin Joyce. He's just lost a couple of spots, but very good race for Theo Lestrange in Interlagos, and he became the first driver whose surname begins with the letter L to score a top 10 in RTA since Juan Shi Lin in the Formula Ford 1600 Championship, and he is the first driver in RTA whose surname begins with the letter L since Jason Lingard in the Super Formula Lights. We've had every other letter apart from Z since then.
That is absolutely anorak stuff, in fairness, Jeff, and I can understand why you're excited to get that one out on stream. As we look at Simon Hutchings having an issue here, the Dragon, he is struggling a little bit, struggled in the last race as well. As we go back to the front, and Robbie Callahan now trying to fend off a challenge from Peter McCann, who is really placing well. Peter thus far, he's had a superb race and staying out of trouble thus far. Has the leash. Am I right in saying leash, man? I always get that wrong. But yeah, no, I'm right this time. Okay, good. I haven't misidentified him. Currently, obviously residing in the fine county of Mayo, but originally from, I think it's fair to say, the less fine county of Laois. Just nothing on Laois. It's just Mayo is a class county. It's very hard to beat that county. Anyway, I digress.
Oh, it's very easy to beat that county. Dublin did it like 5 times in the All-Ireland final in like 5 years. It's very easy to beat that county.
Anyway, less said about that the better if you're from Mayo. But for Jordan and for Peter now, VRA teammates, of course, trying to gang up on the Team DDR. And it's great to see we have 3 Swift Cooper machines. We have 3 Team DDR machines. We have a couple of VRA machines. So plenty of kind of teammate rivalry and teammates working together. We already saw it in qualifying, and now we see Peter McCann jumping Jordan into 6th position. So plenty of sort of teammate rivalries we're seeing coming out here this season in RTA.
Yeah, teammate rivalries always seem to come out a little bit here at the Red Bull Ring, it seems, and yep, I am all for it. Let's have a little bit of a teammate scrap heading up the hill here between Jordan Kelly and Peter McCann. McCann in front in the 33, Kelly just behind in the number 30. 2 older liveries here there for VRA Racing, but they're going to go battling heading up the hill. Jordan Kelly on the inside. Peter McCann has to deal with Sean McClemens just them. So McCann a little bit boxed in, and the 2 friends are going to work together to allow Kelly to dispatch Peter McCann. Sorry if I went like a robot for a second there, folks. I think the Wi-Fi just dropped, but look, it wouldn't be the first issue we've had. It is Peter McCann who cannot get back past Jordan Kelly, so that turned out to be a fairly simple one, Kevin.
Yeah, it was a fairly simple one as passes go. And I think Peter, again, just using his experience, understanding what is kind of going on with the 2 teammates and saying, look, Jordan, you have a go off him. There's absolutely no reason why you can't. He runs wide, though, Peter McCann, and that's going to send him back into the clutches of Robbie Callahan. So see if Robbie can make a move ahead of them. Look how close that is on the back. And what do we say? Hederman's marionette wires. I have no idea what that for. I know I'm aware that it's
I actually
probably
asked him
some
to
sort of
explain
private
that one
joke.
to me. Sorry to interrupt you, Kevin. I actually asked him to explain that one to me, and he doesn't know the reason either. So there we go.
Okay, well, I'm presuming there's some sort of Hederman's marionette wire company that exists, and perhaps they've just decided to adopt that in the back. Oh, well, I'm being told by the man himself that it's very much not the case. Look, let's just go on because it's clear that Ronan doesn't want to share with us exactly what's going on. And back to the front, and look at this for a battle between Ronan Darty and Jason Smith. We're in the final lap after all this nonsense talk over the last couple of minutes, and look at this for a battle. We have 2x2 now going down the hill into Schlossgold. And down in the inside, Jason Smith is going to try and defend from Ronan Darty. Ronan is trying his best, but this is one of those tracks where now that you're past the big braking zones, very hard to try and get a run through these next set of corners. So it will take a big dive in the final corner from Ronan. If he is to try and do something, do remember that, of course, this means that Ronan will start ahead of Jason Smith for the final race as the top 8 get reversed. We'll give you a quick look at that graphically so you can get your head around it if you haven't joined us before, as Jason Smith now fending off Ronan as we head into the final 2 corners.
Yes, it's not as close this time round between Jason Smith and Ronan Doherty, so bar is spin on the exit of this one. Jason Smith is home and dry, and it's 2 from 2 once again here in RTA, just like in Largos. Dylan McClemens is able to stand onto the podium. That is a stellar drive from him because it's very difficult to catch without the slipstream. Then we have the snaking train in the backpack, and it seems like Rory O'Shea and Theo Lestrange's fight is going to go all the way to the line. Oh, and Lestrange has pipped him. So O'Shea out of the top 10, despite such an unbelievable effort. Theo Lestrange, the young Carter, able to get past him. Here's Brandon McCullough and Sergey Grabin, and potentially today's most unexpected battle. They're battling in through turn number 6 and turn number 7.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you, Brandon, he started so high, but unfortunately it's really not worked out for him battling down there for 22nd place. That's not exactly the position that he'd be hoping to battle for as he loses out to Sergey Grabin. So Sergey making that late move, and it's been a real struggle for Brandon this evening. I'm not sure what's gone wrong in that 69 car, but Brandon really struggling. And for Rory O'Shea, a very strange one. A slight tip from Theo on the right rear tyre saw Rory go into the grass and seemingly slow down. So I'm not entirely sure what caused that, but it's been a very, very, very hectic opening 2 races, both on track and off track for us. Finally, now we get a chance to take a deep breath as we will give you our provisional results for the second heat of the 3rd round of the motorsport. Sorry, not the motorsport.ie, just the RTA F4 Championship.
Bit of cheeky sponsorship obligations.
Despite what despite what the graphic says.
Oh, you've called that out of nowhere, Kevin. Jason Smith takes the race win. Ronan Doherty in second. Then it is Dylan McClemens, Conor Melia, Jordan Kelly, Peter McCann, Sean McClemens, Robbie Callaghan, Kevin Joyce, Theo Lestrange, Dermot Toomey, Miles Ragg, Phillipson, Findlay Melvin, Andrew Murphy, Simon Hutchings, Brian McCarthy, Emma Dempsey, Jacob Hobbs, and Tony Stack. And then below Tony Stack, we have Sergey Grabin, Rory O'Shea, who has fallen down the order again. So there seems to be some issue with the results. Brandon McCaughton, Jamal Gandor, Logan Hoy, Jason Cooper, Luke Cooper, Martin McGonigal, TJ Taff, Dara Halley, Joshua Henry, Ken Doyle, and David Prunty. Let's hear then from our 2-time race winner tonight, Jason Smith, with 2 very impressive performances once again here in Austria. Jason, hello. Very similar to Interlagos, 2 good defensive efforts, 2 wins. Talk us about those 2 races.
Yeah, it's just about being consistent there and not cracking under the pressure from Ronan. So it's just about keeping your off tracks, not getting all the incident points, and then not making any mistakes.
Reverse grid then for heat number 3. You weren't able to take the hat trick into Largos. How did you plan on approaching this one?
Yeah, the one mistake I did was in that one I got a bit of wing damage and then I was on the back foot. So just tried to keep my nose clean really, and I feel like I have the pace to come through. So
we've seen the slipstream be very powerful, especially come on the last laps. What is your plan of action, say, if you're battling for the race win with a couple of cars heading on to the final lap?
I don't really know. It's because I've been in in the lead the whole time. It's hard to judge, but it is a very good toe. So kind of whatever comes into my head, really, that's just the way it goes. Whatever
Wouldn't be like
opportunity
user plan
arises.
moves, Jason, would it?
No, definitely not.
Jason, thank you very much for talking to us, and best of luck in the third race.
Thanks, guys.
And now we have Ronan Doherty with Kevin.
Ronan, congratulations. Second place in both Heat 1 and Heat 2. Overall feeling kind of satisfaction or frustration?
I'm happy enough. Like last season, I sort of won a lot of races and didn't do good in the championship, so I'm trying to just back it off a bit this season. And I'm happy enough with 2 seconds. Like especially with the structure of the way the top 5 is sitting, sort of worked out all right for me. And an extra position is only 2 points gained anyway. I'd rather make it through to race 3 than, you know, if you're battling all race, you're probably gonna maybe end up touching.
Yeah, and I suppose that was the thing. You did look like you might have been able to have a go on the final corner of the opening heat. Were you trying to make a move at that point, or were you kind of happy enough to take second?
Those last 2 corners kind of hard to make a move in because the entry speed's so high. So if the person just sends it into the apex, they can kind of recover anyway. And then the second race, I had to go at him in the last lap, but I would have started it earlier for the second race, but I made a mistake and sort of had to catch back up. And by the time I was caught back up, there was only a lap left. But yeah, no, like I'm sort of content enough with how it went. Like 2 second places still a big enough points haul for the first 2 races.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially when you consider it's been a difficult one for Rory O'Shea. He's obviously a championship contender, but it's a bit of a strange championship in that, like, you've unusually picked up some penalty points, which is something that we're just, it's a very, very much something that we're not used to seeing from you. And that that's not a question of why you got them or anything, but then there's some guys that are on the standings because of Jordan not being here for the first week, because of some of the problems that even Dylan and Sean have had, particularly Dylan. He's finished third behind you this evening. It's kind of like you don't really know who's actually the top contender because of the drop rounds. You're really kind of so much in the dark as a driver as to where your championship is, because there's so many potential championship contenders.
Exactly. So I think sort of first half of the championship with a structure like that and a grid like that, you just kind of want to not have any terrible weeks because those are the ones that really kill you, obviously. Yeah, like Jason Cooper's had he's had an unfortunate couple of rounds actually as well. So yeah, look, it's all about just trying to stay alive and maximize what points you can get.
And finally, speaking of Jason, you've seen the Swift Cooper. You saw the Swift Cooper guys kind of working together and qualifying, and we saw you yourselves doing it as well. Are we seeing teammates come into it a bit more?
Yeah, for tracks like this, for sure. I sort of got off track in my last lap, so I would have been quite close to Jason's time. I don't know exactly what I would have got, but yeah, like Dalton and Sean, like we all gave each other toes at different points in the session, and it definitely helps having someone that you can rely on.
Excellent. Well, Ronan, we'll let you get back to it for the final race of the season. Thank you so much for joining us, Ronan Doherty, second place in both race 1 and race 2. Heading into the final race, this, of course, we didn't get a chance to flash the graphic up on your screen, but this is a reverse grid, so the top 8 get swapped. First goes to 8th, 8th goes to 1st, and 9th stays where they are. We do have a quick look at that. So race 1, 10 minutes, we've had that already. Race 2 is 15 minutes, we've had that already. Race 3, 20 minutes, and the reverse 8, top 8 from race 2. As you see, drive through at 15x, at disqualification at 20x. I can't imagine that's why we've had some of the discrepancies in the results that we've had, Evan, but very much all to play for. And I know it's a cliche, but it is very much all to play for as we head into the final heat of the third round.
Yes, Robbie Callaghan alongside Sean McClemens in the front row. These two made contact heading into turn number 1 in the last race, which resulted in front wing damage for Sean McClemens. So this could get tasty, braking for the Nicky Lauder curve. The red lights are coming on for the final time in the Red Bull Ring here tonight, and we go racing in Austria. Once again, brilliant launch from Sean McClemens, immediately tucking behind into the slipstream. Wants the outside line here and is potentially going to go for the switchback. It is Kelly and McCann side by side through turn number 1 as well, side by side outside between Smith and Ronan Doherty. As we head up the hill, Sean McClemens already looking for the move on the outside. Robbie Callaghan has to take a defensive approach, heading past the MotoGP turn 2 and turn 3. And Callaghan on the inside, Sean McClemens on the outside. Who is going to be bravest on the F4 brakes? It is going to be Sean McClemens. Tries to swing it the long way. Jordan Kelly is not helping matters for Robbie Callaghan. He's tried to go for them both heading through turn number 3. And as we run down towards turn number 4, what an almighty run from the multi-RTA champion in the form of Jordan Kelly. Free abreast, braking for turn number 4. McClemens has to just about open his steering to try go the long way around the outside. That's brilliant racing from the pair, and it continues towards turn number 6.
This is superb stuff from particularly Jordan Kelly, the run that he got, a tiny bit of contact forces Robbie Callaghan out wide, and he'll be absolutely fuming in that number 7 car. But a great battle now between McClemens, Kelly, McCann and the other McClemens. And of course, this is a Team DDR versus a Team VRA battle, which is really fascinating to see. Obviously, these two teams and all these guys get on exceptionally well, but it is great to see them back on track, even though we are once again, unfortunately, experiencing issues. I think our iRacing here that we're using is just not having it tonight for us, unfortunately. It seems to be a constant pest, so something that we're going to have to look at for future broadcast. But Sean McClemens leading the pack ahead of Jordan Kelly, and this is a really good battle between these two. These guys know each other exceptionally well. They're around the same age and they're from around the same part of the country, but very different driving styles and very different approaches to races. And let's see if Jordan can try and make a move down the inside to see if he can get in ahead of Sean McClemens. He's going to stick to the outside there. Sean, oh no, I think Jordan's going to make that move. Actually, Jordan getting in ahead of Sean McClemens, and Sean losing a lot of time. Did Sean have an issue there because Peter McCann now has over jumped him as well? So Sean maybe edged out through that corner, and now the two VRA guys, first and second, Evan.
Yeah, there's about 5 years between McClemens and Kelly, just to argue Sean's case a little bit. But Peter McCann getting the job done here ahead of Sean McClemens. That's crafty from McCann. Kelly helping his fellow VRA racing driver. Sean McClemens, though, didn't have an issue, thankfully, or at least it doesn't look like he has any sort of damage, so can file in third, just ahead of his brother Dylan in fourth. In terms of the quick starters, Joshua Henry is up 11, Tony Stack up 3, Logan Hoy and Jason Cooper both up 7. In terms of the bigger losers then, Andrew Murphy, Simon Hutchings both down 17. Simon Hutchings already suffering a blow, and Wales haven't even played us in the rugby yet.
Yeah, it's going to be a bad weekend as it is for Simon, but certainly the midweek giving him a taster of what he can expect this weekend. Yeah, I know. Yeah, a good shout out as well for Neville Smith. It's his 50th birthday today. Oh, there's Peter that's Peter McCann. No, it's, oh my God, my timing screen has gone all over the place. One of the Swift Cooper cars. I think it may be Jason, but I'm trying to get a live timing here to see what's going on. But one of the Swift Cooper cars out, but for Jason Smith's dad, Neville, on his 50th birthday, he's hoping for Jason to do the hat-trick, and currently he's in 5th position, so plenty of time for the chip off the old block to get a hat-trick of wins here at the Red Bull Ring.
Yes, sorry about the Gary Neville-esque scream there, folks. I looked away from the timing screen, just saw a car sideways through turn number 1. Ronan Doherty's just got ahead of Robbie Callaghan. Miles Ragg having a very strong debut in 9th, as did Theo Lestrange 2 weeks ago in Interlagos. There is a move down the inside there from, I think it might be Jason Smith trying to make the move on Dylan McClemens, or at least it looks like it could be Jason Cooper either, who is a little bit further back. I think that spinning Swift Cooper we saw, it might have been Luke Cooper, because it seems like Miles Ragg and Jason are both 16th and 17th, so it might have been Luke Cooper. Ronan already able to get past Robbie Callaghan, who has been in the wars tonight, partially due to his own errors, but Robbie just looking for a little bit of consistency here in heat number 3. Still Jordan Kelly each second, Peter McCann third. It is Dylan, Jason, Connor, Ronan, Robbie, Miles and Theo.
Yeah, and we apologies again. I know this is really hard to follow. It's hard for us to follow as well, but we are doing the best we can in the circumstances that we have, and we'll keep trucking on regardless. Speaking of big winners, or big, I suppose I wouldn't say big winners, but two men who have made big inroads in this final race. Brandon McGahan now up 13 positions, just taking 10th spot there, ahead of Finlay Melvin. And Rory O'Shea up 10 spots. Josh Henry up 12 spots as well. And Dara Halley, after that opening lap disaster, he's up 9 in this race too. He's up 9 positions, up to P21. Rory O'Shea now into 10th. So Finlay Melvin losing out a bit. Jordan Kelly up 3 positions as well, as is Dylan McClements, the man that we're following here at the moment. Peter McCann just behind him. So it's we just saw a spinner there. That's Simon Hutchings again spinning out ahead of Sergey Grabin. So unfortunately for Simon, that's him toast. And I'm just trying to see a gap. It's only 0.2 of a second, 0.2 of a second separating Jordan and Sean, and Dylan there as well. So potentially we could have Team DDR lining up again to have a go off one of the VRA lads.
Potentially. Seems like we have a nice little scrap developing at the front. McClements is able to get past Peter McCann. Sean McClements has just done the fastest race as well, 0.4 a second quicker than Jordan Kelly on the last lap. Sean made business here in this heat. I think he's got enough of the bad luck, and he is looking to try and get the win. My Wi-Fi seems to be dropping a little bit, Kevin, so I'm going to hand it back to you while I move my laptop over.
Ah, my God, it's one of those nights. Sean McClements and Dylan, and
okay
unfortunately Peter McCann. Peter's dropped down now to 5th position, so it's Jordan who leads the McClements brothers, then Jason Smith, then Peter McCann. So Jason up 4 places already and gunning for that hat-trick to celebrate his dad's 50th birthday. And happy birthday, Neville. I never said it to you originally, but happy birthday, and thanks for joining us on the occasion of your 50th, a very special occasion for that as well. So I hope that the lads take you out for a nice dinner. I know it probably won't be this evening, but hopefully at the weekend, or you had something last weekend. But either way, I'm sure this would be a nice way to cap off the evening for you, to see your young fella get on the top step of the podium for the 3rd time. So for Jordan leading, again, a very, very strong showing from Jordan, and he knows what his drop round is. And in a funny way, Evan, I suppose that can mentally make it easier in a way, doesn't it? Because you kind of know where you stand already. So you're there's no guessing about, okay, well, what happens here, blah, 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 blah. It's okay, well, I know what my drop round is. This is the least amount of points I'm going to have. And now I just wait for everyone else to have their drop round and see where I come out at the end of the moving and shaking.
To be fair, I don't think many of them will be thinking about drop rounds just yet, because you never know what could come up at the end of the season. But it's nice to have a little bit of a banker. Certainly Jordan Kelly's not going to be thinking about it right now. He's going to be thinking about the 2 McClements brothers, who are parked right on his rear wing, heading up in towards turn number 3. 8 minutes on the clock out of the 20 here at the Red Bull Ring. Ronan Doherty is side by side with Conor Melia, and he gets past, and that is a very nice move on Conor Melia. Brandon McCaughan is getting ahead of Kevin Joyce as well, and Brandon has got that move on Kevin Joyce, so he's now up to 8th place. A decent recovery for Brandon, a very good recovery for Brandon, up 15 positions.
Yeah, there's some really good kind of recovery drives going on this evening. Rory O'Shea, of course, in P12 or P10 at the moment, but up 12 places. Not entirely sure why he's had to go up 12 places, because he had a kind of a mammoth effort in the last race to get up towards that top 10, finishing in 11th in the end. But for whatever reason, potentially penalty points, I'm not sure, X points pushing him back. But for Jordan, ahead of Sean now, that gap is still 0.3 of a second, so Sean keeping him honest. And I think it's fair to say the McClements brothers certainly kind of putting those early issues in the past, and still very much within a shout of putting themselves in the shake-up for this championship. Jason Smith in 3rd position. What a drive it's been tonight for Jason Smith. It's been absolutely superb in the 26 car, and really, I suppose, showing that maturity that we said has been lacking in the past, Evan. I think it's fair to say Jason really kind of bringing it to fruition now, and I suppose trying to put together all those parts into a championship winning season.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a new Jason Smith the last 2 weeks, it seems. And I remember in the steward's room after Brazil, he said he was going to try brush up his act a little bit, and Well, he has. He's driving really well. I hope this isn't me speaking too soon and he's going to get absolutely taken out and probably never speak to me again or something of the likes. But Jason Smith has been driving really, really, really well. Coming up on a bit of lap traffic, Jordan Kelly is still in the red and white. He's not changed to yellow. I think that could be Simon Hutchings in terms of the lap traffic. Has all the hallmarks of a Simon Hutchings RTA livery. Sean McClellan still 1/10 of a second behind, just over the 10-minute mark. And I think you said this at lights out, Kevin, but it really could go to anyone here.
Yeah, it absolutely could. And this whole championship, I think, is just set up so well now, particularly again this evening. Jordan having a good one and the McClemens brothers returning. Jason Smith, obviously the outstanding candidate, particularly given the 2 race wins and a very strong showing already in heat number 3. But with the McClemens brothers doing well, that'll push them back into the championship. It's been a night to forget for Rory O'Shea, despite the fact that he's taken up so many places. Brandon McGahan as well has had a disappointing one. And here we go, Rory O'Shea and Theo Lestrange once again battling. This is a battle that we saw the number 5 car get the better of our current championship leader, soon to be disposed, I suspect, by Jason Smith. But Rory and Theo having a good old ding-dong battle over the course of this, and swapping positions with Jason Cooper and Kevin Joyce in amongst there as well. Disappointing night for Jason Cooper, but for some drivers here, it's been a really productive one.
Yeah, it has been. Rory and Theo, 2 carters. Rory, I know, used to race in the Tillotsons. I don't know if he still does. And Theo also races in the Tillotsons, also in the IAME X30s. But that's all karting talk. We're here to talk sim racing. And they're both 2 very good young drivers in RTA who have had decent evenings. Rory won't be happy. Theo, I'd say, will be delighted battling with one of the front runners, certainly pace-wise. He has just got past Rory as well. Those are swapping and changing, unlike those at the front. I think it could be a little bit of race management going on in the front train here, Kevin, because we were getting a lot more battling. It seems like they're all just biding their time for now, which naturally is going to happen with a longer race.
Yeah, and I don't think tyre wear necessarily comes into this as much. Obviously, only 10 corners in the lap, even though it is a slightly shorter lap, but it does mean overall you're getting less corners in, and a lot of those corners, there's a lot longer straights as you see here now. Very long start finish straight followed immediately by a long straight, followed immediately by another long straight, and then it slightly gets more twisty in the final curves. As we see Jason Smith pulling out, and he's going to try and move here on Sean McClemens to go down the inside, and a good move again by Jason Smith, and he's going to hold that inside line heading down into Schlossgold, so he should be able to hold off Sean McClemens here, unless the number 18 car can try something absolutely superb around the outside. If he does that, Dylan is waiting in the wings ready to go, but he's going to try the up and under here. Speaking of up and unders, and Sean trying the move on Dylan, but I think, on Jason, should I say, but Jason managing to hold on the inside. That's good car position here from Jason Smith in the 26 car. He's just trying to make sure that he's forcing Sean round the outside all the way around, and if physics tells us anything to go by, the long way around, the outside is usually the longer road, so you have to cover more track in less time to get the move done. That's just basic physics, folks. And unable to do that is Sean McClemens in the 18 car. So Jason Smith, an excellent move there from Jason. I think he caught Sean a little bit napping there, just pulled out and sent it down the inside, and really at that point there was nothing that Sean McClemens could do.
Yes, and there was a little bit of a leave cert physics lesson in there as well from Kevin Galvin. You know, he's just the creme de la creme when it comes to commentary and speaking. And Jordan Kelly spins round as we're waffling on. Drama for the race leader. He wasn't under any pressure either, Kevin. We might have to take a replay of that one if we can get it, because we won't get it, I'm being told. But Jordan Kelly has just spun round from the race lead in what was looking like another fantastic evening. The waters have parted for Sean McClemens, who now leads by 0.6 of a second. I think Jason will have to take some evasive action.
Yeah, it's the classic case of being just in the wrong place, the wrong time for Jason Smith. Jordan Kelly, unusual from Jordan to see that. He's not even on my timing tree now at the moment, so he must have gone back to the pit. He has indeed gone back to the pits. the number 30 car.
No.
Unusual for Jordan. Obviously, we didn't get a great look at the incident, unfortunately, but we've seen very similar incidents on that corner, and that sausage curb on the outside, it's such a bone of contention with drivers. A lot of drivers say it's unsafe, that it causes more accidents and it causes more problems than it saves. Jordan probably running an outside tire and trying to really get grip where there was none, unfortunately finding only fresh air, which means it's all being pushed onto the inside tires. And again, that means that your car ends up facing the direction in which it's very much not intended to face. So pushback required for those of you in aviation for Jordan Kelly, and a very disappointing one for him because he was on for another very good evening. And unfortunately, he's kind of thrown it all away. And all of a sudden, Sean McClements finds himself leading the race after what's been a fairly dour first couple of weeks. He's a real opportunity to turn the season around here.
I know Rob Parks enjoyed that pushback required one somewhere, wherever he's watching from, Kevin. That's foul for Jordan. He has been very good this evening, but it'll be no race win for Jordan. So very disappointing in the long run. It's now between Sean McClements, Jason Smith and Ronan Doherty, it seems, for the race win. We asked Jason what's he going to do with the slipstream. He didn't really know. He's got to start figuring it out because there's 4 minutes left. There's a bit of dirt thrown up by Conor Melia, who's now under pressure from Peter McCann. This is a classic RTA single-seater battle, McCann versus Melia. We've seen many of these across our past few single-seater seasons, and this could get very interesting in the 3 minutes and 20 seconds we have left.
Yeah, once again, Peter McCann, he was down to 7th at one stage and has managed to claw it back through different incidents. He's in 5th. Obviously, he started in 3rd, but down to 5th, which is where he finished. He finished 6th the last race, so he's up to 5th. I'm just trying to do my quick girl maths here. Peter, it's been another exceptional evening for him in that 33 car. Definitely an outside shout for driver of the day. For Peter McCann, and Jason Smith are on board with now, will have not only the race win in his sight, but also our first potential hat-trick of the season, and he's going to try and make a move around the outside, but you need to time this at the right time, because if he gets pushed out wide by Sean McClements, he'll find Dylan in the background just waiting to sniff. He cuts off Dylan there, and very, very close to an instant as Jason almost a sandwich in a Team DDR, or almost a meet in a Team DDR sandwich. Now however, Evan, he has the inside heading down the hill.
Yes, here we go in towards turn number 4. They're right neck and neck, but Smith breaks a lot later. That was a beautiful up and under through turn number 3. Jemison Gibson Park, eat your heart out. Sean McClements is looking for this one round the outside. I tell you what, it takes a brave man to pull this one off through Rauch. McClements has to be very, very careful not to clip that rear left of Jason Smith. He's done a stellar job to do so. That's the corner where he spun, of course, at the end of heat number 1. He's still going to stick in this one. Knows he's quick through this section of the track. Oh, he's pulled it off! I don't believe it. That's the bravest of the brave, and an unbelievable move to get his cousin into contention in this one as well. Doherty down the inside into the Jochen curve. Unbelievable. That is incredible. Jason Smith doesn't know what's hit him. We're heading on to the last lap of the race here in Austria. My word, this is cracking.
Yeah, I mean, I described Jason Smith as the meat in the sandwich. Usually that's the best bit, but it turns out the sliced pan is well worthwhile watching as well. As Sean and Ronan, that is absolutely outstanding, particularly from Sean McClements. He has the bit between his teeth, Sean McClements. He says, "Apps, no more. I'm not putting up with this anymore. I am back. I'm not to be walked all over." I like your Jamison Gibson Park reference.
Oh, look at this from Jason.
Oh, look at that up and under again. Jason trying it again. Oh, and he's going to have the run. Will he have the run on Sean? I'm not sure. He's going to have the run on Ronan, but Ronan's...
Keep an eye through the last sector, though. Keep an eye on Jason through the last sector, because we saw Ronan getting very close with that slipstream. I know it's very twisty and turny, and Jason Smith breaks very late indeed. Ronan Doherty is going to have to be forced to the outside here. Sean McClements is going to be all over the mirrors through this next corner. Ronan Doherty, I tell you what, he's doing his cousin an unbelievable favour here, distracting Jason Smith. Smith still sent it down the inside. Sean McClements just has 3 corners to get through, and he might have what seems like a miracle identical with how his season started. Smith using every inch of the circuit. Ronan Doherty as well, just distracting him, heading in towards the Jochen curve. This is where he pulled off the move on the last lap. He's done it again down the inside. I tell you what, I absolutely love this championship because it's the only place where a driver who's been down on his luck for what seems like months still prevails. Sean McClemens wins in Austria in Heat 3. Jason Smith Heat 3 ends exactly like Interlagos in the pit lane.
Yeah, Jason, you mentioned Jason emulating Jameson Gibson Park, and certainly a box kick seems a lot more.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Certainly seems a lot more apt for how his race ended. Not entirely sure what happened there. Probably trying to kill a penalty again. Jason Smith, he was doing that before as Ken Doyle gives us some acrobatics to finish off.
It's his only time on the stream tonight as well. Poor Ken.
Some guys in this stream, unfortunately, have only ever been shown with incidents, but as Josh Henry crosses the line, but what a fantastic battle. And Evan, it always works out like that. We've had a frustrating evening. Some of the drivers have had a frustrating evening. It's been a tricky one for everyone involved, but yet when push comes to shove and you look at some of the driving, it's just absolutely phenomenal between those three. And I think, in fairness to Sean McClemens, he has more than earned his race win in this final heat this evening.
Yeah, I tell you what, fair play. I'm very proud of Sean as well because, my God, was he at the end of his tether after Donington. And he has got the head down here, even when making contact with Robbie Callaghan in Heat 2, even when having that spin at the end of Heat number 1, and he has just pushed. He owes Ronan a curly whirly. Was it a curly whirly, the joke between Sean and Dylan? I think it was. He owes Ronan a curly whirly for that last lap because Ronan distracted Jason enough to push him through some of the corners, give Jason the X's to make him serve a drive-through penalty. Neville, I'm very sorry that you didn't get the hat-trick, but I think as a race fan, you might have enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I think so, big time. But, I think on the curly-whirly-ometer, if that's a thing, in fairness to Sean, his kind of absolute resolute defense against Connor allowed Ronan into that position in the first place. So I think on the curly-whirly-ometer, they're about even. But hopefully now we'll get an opportunity to speak to the man himself. And Evan, I think it's only fair that you get to have a chat with our final race winner of the evening, Sean McClemens.
Yes, Sean McClemens, the race winner ahead of Ronan Doherty in second. Look, we were kind of not necessarily insulting, but maybe speaking in a negative tone about Team DDR. That's one way to shut us up with a 1-2 finish. Conor Amelia in third, very impressive by Connor. Peter Buchanan in fourth, Brandon McCall in fifth, and Theo Lestrange, Jason Cooper, Rory O'Shea, who kind of minimised the damage a little bit. Kevin Joyce in ninth, and Miles Ragg with an impressive debut. Logan Hoy, Tony Stack, Phil Upson, Dermot Toomey, Dara Halley, Sergey Grabun, David Prunty, Joshua Henry, Jason Smith, of course, who did finish in the pit lane, so we can't explain that drop in the order. Then it was Andrew Murphy in 20th position. Then it was Ken Doyle ahead of Dylan McClemens, who we didn't really see what happened to. It might be that issue that we seem to be having with the standings for whatever reason. Then it is Luke Cooper, Emma Dempsey, Jamal Graham-Dorr, Jordan Kelly, Simon Hutchings, Brian McCarthy, TJ Taff, Finley Melvin, Martin McGonigal, Robbie Callaghan and Jacob Hobbs. Let's hear then from your race winner of heat number 3 in Austria, Sean McClemens. Sean, hello, congratulations. Given how this season has gone, describe to us what it feels to win here.
Here. We don't even want to talk about last week. The start of the season, the first round, I had quite a good few rounds. Obviously the second race was taken out, but then I got a good comeback for race 3. And then last week, I wasn't driving last week anyway. So I was. That was an off week for me.
No, you were.
No, definitely not. And but then the first couple of races there, at the end of the day, obviously getting in contact with Jordan, obviously didn't help me too well, and then the incident at turn 1 giving me front wing damage for the second race. Started up my confidence then a wee bit, but whenever them last couple of laps with Jason and Ronan, that one, it was I have to admit, even if I got 4th or 5th there, I was going to come away buzzing. It was a great battle, but to to take the top step, that's obviously a bonus.
We saw you try hang it around the outside on Jason Smith through on the second final lap, and you pulled it off as well. At that point, was it a little bit of, right, I'm going for this race to win. If I end up in the wall, I end up in the wall.
Oh yeah. To even go for the move, I think I was sort of like winner spin, I suppose. It was a tough move to go for, and I'll the whole time I sort of knew the move was on, but at the same time, you are going round the outside of a long left-hander, so anything could have happened there. Me and Jason did actually clip wheels ever so slightly. Thankfully, there's no real bad outcome from that. Like, but no, once I seen Ronan go back into the mix then too, I knew obviously the two team DDR cars could work together a bit and try to secure first and second, and so I just tried to toe Ronan whenever I could, and yeah, well, we walked away with first and second, so happy enough with how that race went.
Talk to us then about going forward, because hopefully this is the end of the bad luck. You've got the good results. What is the mindset now for the rest of the season?
Oh yeah, well, we'll just put head down for the rest of the season. Try avoid unlucky contact and stuff. Luck hasn't really been going my way yet this season, but no, we'll just get the head down. Like we'll try maximize the most we can at the championship now. Now it's still early doors, like, so I don't even know about championship winning yet, but I'll definitely be doing my very best to try to get the best sort of outcome and the best position at the end of the season that I can.
Sean McClements, race winner in the F4 Championship. Congratulations.
Cheers, lads.
And now to the other side of the booth, where Kevin is going to once again speak to Ronan Doherty.
Yeah, I feel like I've been here before. Sorry, Ronan, we probably caught you trying to
No, you're sure.
digest things with P3 Connor, who we'll speak to in a second. But yeah, bit of deja vu, really, isn't it? We were here about 25 minutes ago talking about P2. We're here again talking about P2. Very different P2 this time, though. Describe those last, I suppose, particularly that last lap for us, but those last couple of laps.
Yeah, last few laps were great. Like, I think there was contact in the first corner. I was set back early in the race because one of the new guys just he chucked up the inside into the first corner and locked up, and I had to take the run off and I got slowed down. So I was sort of on the back foot from lap 2, really. I mean, I eventually caught up. Yeah, we had a good little dice, and I think if you're in the lead and purely defending here, it's actually kind of easy if you just release the brake at the right time. But if you're second or third, that's when it becomes tricky because you're trying to attack and defend. So me and Jason kind of Dyson and Sean got away, but there's no one else that would have rather got the win than one of my cousins. And Dylan gets a lot of praise and he's great, but Sean's really sharp too, and he simply just doesn't really do that. He probably does about my amount of practice, but he doesn't have the same experience. So Sean's an underrated driver, and I'm delighted for him getting the win.
Yeah, I mean, we were just speaking to him, and we are thrilled for him as well, because it's been a tricky start to the season for him. But in fairness, as race wins go, you have certain races where you start in front and there's instance behind and yada yada yada. But for Sean, like, he really had to work so hard for that race win.
Yeah, and it's just like a big draft fest, you know. But those races are the best because it's kind of like playing poker or something. You need luck and skill. And Sean really played his cards right in that race, you know. And when he got in the lead, he held on very well. So yeah, it was a great drive from him, and it was a good drive from Jason too. He got unfortunate in the end. He actually, I think as I was passing him on the last lap, or battling with him, he got a drive through. So yeah, no, it was good stuff from both those lads at the front.
And I suppose again, it keeps the championship nice and wide and open. And if you guys can battle like that in the third round, we can only imagine what it's going to be like when you have another couple of weeks under your belt with these F4 machines.
Yeah, exactly. You're seeing everyone getting closer in the grid, you know. And I know this track is a track where it's quite easy to be on the pace. Like, you know, you can jump on the night and maybe do 5-10 laps and you're on the pace because there's not too many corners. That's quite a common track, so you're familiar with it. But everyone's getting really close. The grid's getting tight. You've maybe 14-15 cars within a second there, so it's making for great racing. And I'd say it's probably only going to get tighter as the season goes on.
Well, we're really looking forward to it. If this week is anything to go by, and particularly that last race is anything to go by, it's set to be another fantastic championship. Congratulations, Ronan. Again, we'll be speaking to you, no doubt, and hopefully even for your sake next week. But look, enjoy the week, and hopefully, we might see some actual sunshine before we speak to you next week.
Cheers, Kevin, and I'm bringing it back. Keep our country.
Yes, you can't stop me from saying that. Evan, finally, we're gonna have a chat with a man, and we might do something that we haven't really been able to do thus far
I
on the
was
stream.
thinking the same thing. I think I know what you're on about. If you're going by the gantry chat,
I am.
indeed. Connor Melia, congratulations! A couple of podiums tonight, and the Gantry TV Driver of the Day.
Oh, thanks, lads. Yeah, no, much better week than last week. Anyway, delighted with that.
You've been a bit of a dark horse so far. The pace was there, but tonight you were really turned it on and were lapping the exact same as the front runners.
Yeah, I don't really know where it came from. I kind of just hooked the rope onto Ronan's car and held on. Like I put in a decent lap right at the end of quali, but I was hanging around 10th for most of it. Same in practice. So it seemed just when the time came, I could hang on to the lads and keep my nose clean, which is the most important thing, I think.
We haven't had a chance actually to speak to you so far this season, so how are you finding this F4 car?
I love it. It's great crack. Funnily enough, the first race I ever did with RTA was 2022. I did one round of the F4 at Road America, funnily enough, which we're going to next week, and I think I got a podium in my first race, and then didn't race with them for a year. So that bodes well for next week, anyway. I really enjoy the car though. It's so much fun to drive, and it's really nice to race. You can go side by side fairly easily. It's not too big, you know. You can fit more than one car through a corner.
And then just going off what you said there, you're clearly excited for Road America as well.
I love Road America. It's one of my favorite tracks on iRacing. It's so much fun in an open wheel car, whether it's like an Indy car or the F3, which I think I got a podium. I got a win in the F3 at Road America. And then in the F4 it's going to be savage car.
And then just one last question. I know you're a bit of an endurance racer from time to time. Will there be any participation in the actual iRacing Bathurst this weekend?
If we can get a team together, which bodes quite poorly, considering none of us have done any practice. But doing an enduro with the lads is always great crack. So we'll see. We'll try and get a team together anyway.
Connor, thank you very much for speaking to us. Congratulations on tonight and our driver of the day.
Thanks very much, lads.
So that was race winner Sean, second place Ronan, and third place Connor. I tell you what, that has to be the quickest we've ever done driver of the day on a gantry stream.
Yeah, it's great to great, and it's great to have the man himself to actually deliver the news to. I was going to say it's not very often, but literally for the first time we've ever been able to do that. So very nice indeed. Another, like as we said, it's just like with Jason's result there in the last race. Unfortunately for Neville watching on, and again thanks you to him and for everyone who commented. Johnny Hollywood also calling Connor Melia as driver of the day. It's just another championship contender. We have Sean McClemens in first position. We just spoke to Connor Melia. That's another potential championship contender. So this F4 championship is absolutely wide open as we head into the fourth round. And let's have a quick look at where we're going next week. Obviously, you were talking to Connor about that. But we have 8 races, and we've finished our first little stint in Europe. So we started in Sao Paulo, and then we went to Donington last week, the Red Bull Ring this week. Then next week we head back across the Atlantic to Road America, and then go north of the border to Montreal and the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and then back to Europe for 3 final races at Silverstone, the Nuremberg Ring, the WEC layout of that track, of course, because I think trying to do the Nordschleife in the F4 cars would be absolutely mental and hilarious, but also not very good for racing. And then we finish off at, as you said earlier, the track probably with the highest amount of elevation change, other than the Red Bull Ring, the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps on the 25th of March. Yeah, it blows the championship wide open, and it leaves us really nicely hanging for next week. I mean, when you look at the racing in that last race, and when you look at Road America, as Connor said, it's such a fun track, different types of corners, and really one of those that kind of encourages reel to reel racing.
Yes, it is a difficult circuit, very difficult circuit to nail, but it bodes very, very nicely in this F4 car. Sean McClements, the last time we visited Road America, won Heat 3 as well. And the last time he won Heat 3, I'm pretty sure he followed it up either a week or 2 weeks later. So could be a strong run of form there for the team DDR man. Connor's definitely not the only one who likes Road America. It's going to be a great week next week, folks, and I don't think you want to miss it.
No, absolutely not. Between now and then, of course, you alluded to it slightly earlier, Evan, the Bathurst 12 hours. Myself and Ronan Hederman will be taking on the hill, the world famous Mount Panorama at the weekend, alongside formerly of this parish, Jack Canan, so an all-Irish car. So if the RTA lads don't put something together, we'll put out a link on our Facebook in terms of how to keep up with us. It's probably one of my favorite races of the calendar. The endurance race, I have to say, it's definitely up there alongside Nürburgring and Le Mans, definitely I would say in my top three. But yeah, so that's to look forward to at the weekend. Do enjoy it if you're taking part. Hopefully you don't hit the wall, although you almost certainly will scratch it at some point. And have a good week. Enjoy everything that the week brings you. Hopefully we'll see some sunshine in the real world, and no doubt we'll see plenty of sunshine next week when we head to Road America. Same time, same place, Tuesday evening. We're off to fire all of the backroom staff involved in the production and get our head around why those little problems we had, but we will endeavor to do our best to get it sorted until next week. But until then, have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Song of Hope.